Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another Shamshir sound video. Today is Feedback Friday, and I'm going to be looking at your guys' demos that you sent. If you guys don't know about Feedback Friday, every week, I will be reviewing your submissions sent to me on SoundCloud. So if you guys want to send me your song or songs, multiple songs, whether they're public, private, big room, future house, electro, trance, feel free to DM me your song and just write Shamshir Sound just so I can prioritize it for next week's video. And I'm recording this Friday morning, so I always wait so that I can get as many songs sent to me until I record that day. So next Friday will be the next Feedback Friday. And let's just jump right into it, see what songs that we got today. If you guys are enjoying this series, remember to hit that like button. I really like making this series. It's very exciting. I like reviewing your guys' music and discovering new music. It's dope. So let's slap on the Odysseys. And let's go ahead and listen. So the first track is from OCTILLION, and it's called Polygone. I like that. Polygone. Let's go. So this is really refreshing. It's got some like tropical vibe to it. I really like the intro. I really like the layers that you have going on here, especially the chords. It's got this kind of like hands up, euphoric type of vibe, and nothing too much to complain about here. I like this intro. It's dope, and especially this caught me off guard. Like that piano coming in, dun 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 dun, and with that pluck. I think the one thing I have a gripe with, the one thing I have an issue with is when I heard the lead being introduced here during the build-up, I would have maybe, it might have increased the excitement to have it either like with an endless smile, like a reverb being very big and then coming into the middle when the drop hits, maybe even being low passed. You know, just creating progression. If we look at like most of the pros are always doing like a lot of transitions. They're rarely ever introducing a synth just as it is in the drop. Something's going on that they're always doing. It's always ever evolving or devolving. It's either fading in, fading out, low pass filter opening, low pass filter closing, high pass filter opening or closing, reverb increasing or decreasing. So I would have liked to hear maybe some reverb on that lead. Like as you were introducing it here, or maybe even low pass too with that, just to create this wetness so that the listener hears it coming, but they're creating anticipation and tension. I think the biggest issue that I have with it, because overall the structure is dope, something about the kick is a little off-putting. I don't know if it's the right kick for this genre, because it seems like you're going for this, like, at least from what I take from it, like this Martin Garrix, Brooks, hands up, happy, chord, euphoric type of like house, electro house, progressive house type of fusion. I don't know if that's the right kick, because that kick kind of has this like GABA-esque, you know, very like pew pew. It's very, has that pogo kind of like vibe, and I think a kick that might have been more full would have sounded better. I probably would go through even some of like the Vengeance House Essentials, like 2, 1, 3, maybe even electro, maybe even some of the kicks from Kashmir, just to experiment, because I feel like the kick is a little too like, I don't want to use the word punchy. I feel like the kick just needs a little bit more body and punch in that kick. It feels robbed of energy relative to the rest of the stuff that's going on. Maybe even spicing it up with like some snares or something that's catches you off guard for a fill. A fill can really be anything. There's no right or wrong answer for fills, but they really spice up our drops. Let's continue listening. When I hear those shakers and I hear that drum, it really, I think this song has a lot of potential. It really reminds me of like some jungle tropical vibe. And then I think, I don't know in what order you started the development of the song, but I think there's a lot of potential with this. The drop, just if it had a fuller kick and maybe just a little bit more items going on. Yeah, I would run Voxengo Span. You can also view this in Pro L2 or Pro L. I'm not sure if Pro L1 shows it, but just monitor the levels. I feel like the drop is being outbeaten by this like build up, and we can even see that in this waveform. It feels like it's overpowering it. So I think like you have great ideas down. You didn't really work on a break, but that's not necessary. I know there's people that are gonna be like, oh, you have to do a break and add kicks and this and that, but it's art, man. There's no rules. I'm gonna be making a video about like top like 60 tips condensed in 2 minutes by like my favorite artists. And number one thing Hardwell says is there are no rules, right? You want to go clip into the plugin, go ahead and do it. I've seen guys just bend and break every rule that the classic mentor or theory guy would be appalled by. So there's no rules. Let your creative juices just flow. But with this, the kick I feel like is getting outshined. I feel like the drop is being outshined by the build up, and so yeah, it's a great idea. I would like to see maybe it revisited and maybe re-engineered with some of the different components, the kick and whatnot. I'm not sure, are you using a different kick from the intro? Because it sounds slightly different. Let me know. Let me know in the comments or DM me. I'm not sure if you're using a different kick. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Dope stuff. Thank you, OCTILLION. I think you've sent some more stuff. So thank you, OCTILLION, for fueling the content for this video. This is Realign. Cool. So listen to this one. That's cool. I haven't heard someone like high pass the kick in a long time. It used to be very, I don't know if you're high passing the kick or the master or something, but that was used a lot during like the Tiesto Electro House days, Dirty South, I want to say. So it's funny how production changes and evolves, but cool. It's cool. You have some like Swedish House Mafia progressive type of vibe, like Zako and Torres or something. You're kind of going for that type of drop, which I admire. It's nice. I'm not sure if the break really flows into that drop well. Let's go back. Again, I think I see another trend here. Let me know what gear you're producing on. Maybe it's about the headphones you're listening on, but I feel like the kick, the drop could have a little bit more power. Now, maybe not kick, but maybe it even like we have to be careful with bass because for instance, let's say we have a lead and the lead is like cut off at 200 or 150 hertz or something, and then we have our kick and we have like a sub bass. There's also a lot of importance with the frequencies from 200, 300, 400 because our ear allows us to say, okay, I can feel that sub bass because I'm hearing 500, 400, 300, 200. So it connects the dots to the sub bass. That's what I'm trying to say. It connects the dots. That's why plugins like Waves R Bass and Waves Max Bass are useful because they recreate the higher frequencies so that your ear hears the lower frequencies. Does that make sense? It connects the dots. So maybe it's a mix down issue. Maybe it's about adding like a low level synth, like a subby synth underneath that, just to give more body to the lead. It's clean. Like I don't really find like a problem with it in terms of cleanliness, but I think that perhaps either the melody could be a little bit more interesting or maybe you could compensate by making it a little bit more potent, a little bit more pungent in the drop. Let's continue hearing it here. I would have said maybe even the break beat loop would have been unnecessary. It's not really, for me personally, these are just my opinions, right? It does not really fitting that retro breakbeat. Like, it's not really fitting to it, to the genre. It's kind of like taking a lazy boy chair to your office space. You'd want the office chair, and you'd want the lazy boy chair when you're relaxing. There's a time and place for certain sounds. I would say maybe OCTILLION, check out my track Pineapple and see how I created like a lot of depth, a lot of like telling a story, but even with minimal elements, using a lot of delays and reverbs and subtleties and evolution over time. So I think reference that track because you're loving to make progressive house. Check out Pineapple. And that song is gonna give you a nice idea of, because that one I drew inspirations from like Deadmau5, a lot of inspirations from Steve Duda, and you'll get a good idea of how I'm evolving the melody while still keeping it very fresh and tasteful during the drop. And also still, I did kind of what you did too. I did like, I think a 45-second drop. I did the normal drop and then kind of like a outro drop before hitting the brakes. And you don't need to always put, like, less is more. You always remember when you add features, you're making a sacrifice. So as you add more samples, like, you make a sacrifice of some sort. So just be careful with your sound selection. It's a good job with the build-ups and the structure. It's a good job. I think if it just had some more oomph during the drop, whether that be like a brighter lead or a little bit more like low end to it, it could drive a lot more energy. So not sure exactly. I think maybe in the future I'll open up a series where I can look at your guys' FLPs and send it back to you, maybe help you guys improve the songs. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing a video like that where I take a look at your projects and send it back to you guys. It's a good concept that you have here, a good prototype. I think if it had some more sounds added, if the melody was like spiced up a little bit with fluctuations or like a pitch drift or something, or even the melody was slightly different to create a little bit more intrigue, a little bit more excitement. That's what it really is. I think when you listen to Pineapple by the song I made, I think you'll get a good idea of how many layers I added, but they all have their space, they all have their place in the song. So check that out as a reference. I think that will give you a lot of inspiration. And yeah, thank you for this track. It's cool. I like hearing different stuff, and this is different. So thank you, OCTILLION, for sending this one, Realign. So the next one is the last track by OCTILLION. It's called I Need This, original mix, house, 2 months ago. before we go here, let's get some comments out. So I really like this vocal chop. Really nice vocal chop. I got some like goosebumps just hearing like the chords in the piano. It's very setting, like emotion. Really very dope vocal. It's very full here when you're hearing that vocal. It's very sick. I would have liked to hear it in the drop. And even this is sick. I like that. It's got some like Tommy Trash type of like bounce going on. The drop, I feel like the drop is a little bit underwhelming as opposed to what I heard in the build up and everything, you know, preceding this. Everything before the drop is sick in my opinion, but when the drop hits, it's kind of like it's almost like you went like, I think from what I'm hearing that you produced this in a like A to Z fashion. Like you started with the intro and went your way to the drop. It's okay, but I feel like there's more energy in this section as opposed to the drop. I would have liked to hear either like really open, bright saws that are just lush with energy, or even the vocal. You know, like those fat saws, really powerful with the vocal, or maybe just the vocal. So I love this concept they have here. If you're working with FL Studio, OCTILLION, send me a DM. Maybe we can work on something together or something. I don't know. But I would love to, like, that's a sick vocal. I just feel like the drop doesn't match it in terms of like the energy. So this I think has a lot of potential, especially those vocals that you have there. But like I said, the drop I think just needs a little bit more power in the drop. It's hard to explain music through words because it's something that just has to be heard and felt. And yeah, but I mean, I really like this idea. I think that it has so much potential, and see what you can do to maybe spice up the drop and use those vocals and really make it shine, because I think that you have a lot of hidden potential in these ideas, especially in this one. I really like this one. I'd say this one was also good. They're all really good ideas. I think that this one is the most potent, especially with those vocal chops. So thank you, OCTILLION. We're going to go on next to the last one. And this is by Raghav Ranchan. Ranchan. Hope I said that right. Inspired by Punjabi Indian vibes by Ravi Scale. Hope you like it. I don't even know what's by Ravi Scale. We'll see. Maybe I've heard the scale before, but let's see. Dude, that is sick. That is friggin' sick, man. That I love that. I didn't expect that because the snare, the intro there, that's like dark. Good that you like made a big contrast there between that, like, you don't really expect something huge to come, but that drop. Feel the drop. Feel the drop. Distortion sounds really good on vocals. It's really dynamic on vocals. It's very has a lot of potential. So I like that you distorted those vocals. I love that you have that ethnic instrument. I don't know what is playing. What is that? Something. I don't know what you're using there. But I like how it's layered with that like bass layer. Duh, 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 and then with that kick. Clean. It's like minimal, but it's clean. It's very groovy. I like this a lot. This, dude, make sure you finish this song. This is a banger. The mix is darker than it is like flat or really bright, but that's okay. Don't fall in like a negative spiral loop or think that it needs to be super bright or this or that. But what I'm hearing thus far is sick. Let's have a listen to this part, the break, I guess. Really sick demo. Thank you, Raghav, for sending the demo, Taal. It's really something that I could see when finished and really in its full flesh on like Dharma would probably be my first revealed quartzo. This has a lot of potential. Now, tips to improve it. I really like what's going on with the drop. I think the break could receive a little bit more love, especially in this area. It's and I know you're going for more of like a minimal skeletal type of thing because it's really giving great contrast to the drop. But I think the break could have a little bit more, either if you don't want to obstruct or be too intrusive to what you have, maybe just some ambiance layers of like minus 50, 40 dB, just to give some flowing motion to it, or setting the tone with like an ethnic ambiance, FX layer, noise layer, something. I think that the break could receive a little bit more love, but it's obvious that this is something that you're probably still working on. I'm not sure if it's finished or not, but the drop is sick. Drop. Feel the drop. Cool that you mixed it up and did the second drop, the variation. I like that. I would see what you can do there. You always want to be careful with long periods of silence. And the way I phrase that is that, for instance, when I sent a song to my girlfriend like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there was an area where it wasn't even silent. In my song, it was like, and it was like, but it was like minus 30 dB or something, 20 dB. And but to her, she's like, oh, when I was listening to my stereo, it sounded like the song was like silent. And so sometimes a consumer, I would recommend Raghav, send this over to like a friend, family member, have them listen to it and see maybe what they say during the break, because I really love everything. I think the break, maybe that like this part could be glued together a little bit better. How you're using that eagle sound, the hawk sound. Maybe it could, maybe the break could flow a little bit better. So really the critique I would say is that the break could flow a little bit better, either with transitional effects or yeah, like adding a little bit more sounds. Maybe even there are some areas, especially in here, where it feels too bare. It feels like it's a little too skeletal, and it can be jarring sometimes to the listener if it's too skeletal. So just my 2 cents, just my opinion, but I really love this. Thank you for sending this, and that wraps it up. Today is a much shorter clip than usual, and if you guys have your demos you want to share with me, feel free to send it to me on my SoundCloud. So send me a message, Ali Nadem, just say Shamshir sound or feedback Friday, and that way I will get to it for next week. So if you guys made it this far, thank you. And I have featured these two guys in the video description and in the comments. You can check that out. There's timestamps and everything. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next Feedback Friday and then the next tutorial. Take it easy. Take care.